Hovey, I never see you anymore. How are you?
All right, Director, how are you?
Good, good. Good.
Yeah.
This pandemic's got us all in our own corners these days.
Pandemic,
See you.
snow. Yeah, we got all kind of stuff. Between the pandemic, the snow, just one crazy thing after another.
It's been a challenge.
You got new earpiece?
I did.
All right.
I did. And if anyone's got a problem hearing me, tell me, but I think it works quite well.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, I
Good.
remember on a couple meetings in the past, I'd fade out about 20 minutes into the meeting, my microphone would start to buzz out. So I think this helps.
There you go.
And it keeps my ears warm. So
There you
it's
go.
good.
Yeah, this weather you need it.
Mhm.
Has anybody heard from Aaron or Andrew?
I talked to Andrew earlier, but I'm sure he's going to be joining us.
I have 2 minutes to make a grand entrance.
Yeah.
We're not missing anybody else, right?
Well, speaking of grand entrances, I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear me.
Oh,
Perfectly.
okay.
You could cough and it would be a grand entrance, Harold.
Hello there, Sergeant. I am well.
I mean, we could get started. I'm sure they'll show up very soon. I think we're going to get started with the pledge. So everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have the roll call, please.
Sorry, I was muted. H. Foreman,
Here.
A. Impastato,
Here.
A. Lewitt, D. Mello,
Present.
J. Seitzman,
Present.
L. Smith,
Present.
L. Vega.
Here.
She said here.
Yep, we're good.
Did you call everybody?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. All right. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Law of 1975 of the state of New Jersey, or no, actually, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong document. I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this regular monthly February board meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, February 11th, 2021 at 7 p.m. was sent to the Jersey Journal, the Star Ledger on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 as notification to the general public of said meeting and sent to the city clerk of the City of Hoboken on Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021 with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the aforementioned bulletin board in City Hall, the Hoboken Public Library, and the Hoboken Police Department. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, I direct that the minutes of this meeting to state the following. As a result of the restrictions established by Executive Order 107, issued by the Governor of New Jersey with respect to the need to limit public gatherings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the meeting will be conducted exclusively through the use of communications equipment. This procedure is in accordance with NJSA 10:4-9.3, which states that a public body cannot be deemed to have violated any provision of the Open Public Meetings Act in conducting a meeting by means of communication or other electronic equipment. In addition, this procedure complies with Article 3, Section 7 of the Authority Bylaws, which allows for participation in authority meetings by members of the Board of Commissioners by means of telephone conference or similar communications equipment. Mr. Fitzpatrick, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In keeping with the Housing Authority's normal practice of affording members of the public the opportunity to comment at monthly board meetings, the authority will be accepting comment during this meeting in one of three ways. First, comments can be sent by email to hha@myhhanj.com from now until 7:30 p.m. Second, beginning at approximately 7:30 p.m., the authority will allow access to participants one at a time to comment using their telephones. Third, if you are participating in the meeting using Zoom from a web browser or smart device, you can submit comment using the Zoom Q&A function, which can be accessed by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. We ask that any member of the public who wishes to submit comment using the Q&A function, please limit themselves to a single submission rather than submitting multiple brief comments. In addition, please note that while the Zoom video of this meeting is being streamed through Facebook Live, public comment will not be accepted through Facebook or Facebook Live. Any member of the public watching through Facebook Live who wishes to comment may do so by email, by telephone, or by using the Zoom Q&A function. Just for reference, the email address again is hha@myhhanj.com. And if you are watching by Facebook Live and wish to call in, the telephone number is area code 646-558-8656. And the webinar ID is 485-881-849. Please note that this is not a toll-free number. Any comment received by 7:30 p.m., either by email or through the Zoom Q&A function, will be read aloud by an authority representative for all attendees of the meeting to hear. Please be advised that the standard practice of the executive director and members of the board is to refrain from engaging in a back and forth discussion during the public comment portion of authority meetings. However, in light of the ongoing crisis, the authority realizes that it may be necessary to address questions or concerns raised by the public related to COVID-19. On behalf of the authority, I thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. At this time, in order to allow more time for members of the public to submit comment in advance of 7:30, I recommend that the board consider adopting a resolution to reorder the agenda to allow the executive director to present his report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll make a motion to adopt said motion.
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, so if we could have the executive director's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everyone. I should note that Aaron has joined us since Aaron Lewitt has joined us since the roll call. Welcome, Aaron. And I think Andrew was there for the roll call. All right, so we do have board subcommittees that met this month. Our security committee met on January 25th. I think we had a fruitful meeting with the police Lieutenant Smith that was with us. And our admissions and containment occupancy policy subcommittee was very busy this month, met a couple times since the last meeting to work on the ACOP admissions policy that's in front of you tonight. And the professional procurement committee met on February 9th. So we've had a busy meeting month. And I don't know if we'd like to start with any reviews on the committees. I know the security committee is going to meet again next week. I know Commissioner Pistato, you're the chair of that committee. Anything you want to brief us on?
Yeah, we had a good meeting with Officer Collins,
Yeah.
and we went over specifically the cameras was a big topic. And what he recommended we report back is that the cameras are really not to police our residents. The cameras are to police those that are trying to come here from outside of Hoboken that are non-residents, and to catch what their actions are and what their motives are so that we can keep our residents safe. So that was kind of a major concern for me specifically, was that we're spending all this money on cameras. We don't trust our people. We don't, they feel uncomfortable with all of them everywhere. It's not a jail. It's a housing authority. So it was good to hear that that's what they're doing. That's what they're using them for. Priority. We set a tentative date where we potentially can go. I was interested in seeing exactly what the police are looking at and during the course of the day. So hopefully we're going to sit with them and actually see what these cameras are watching and how they use them. I think I don't know if Jason or Lizette are going to join from the subcommittee, but I think it was something that I definitely am interested in, to get a bird's eye view of what they're watching and what these expensive cameras are catching. We also talked about a lot about the homeless and what's going on and what we're trying to do to keep them from sleeping in our hallways and urinating in our elevators. And we've got some action items for that. And the reason why we're having another call next week is to really get the chief on the line and see, some follow through on what's happening and what's going on and how we can help keep people safe and keep people out of harm's way. Like specifically from last call when we had some residents talk about some high risk and unsafe matters that are happening. So that was the majority of the call. Very productive. I look forward to next week with Chief Ferrante to get more into detail on policy and see why things have happened in the past as it relates to those who spoke about things at the last meeting. And we'll report back.
Thank you.
Just a quick, I'm getting like the slightest amount of feedback, and I don't know who it's from. I see a majority of people are muted.
Okay, if we got, I'll just mute when we're not speaking would probably be good, right, Teresa? All right,
I
let's
think
keep
it's good
going.
now.
Yep, good. We'll keep going. The admissions and continued occupancy policy subcommittee met a couple times, but we do have the new policy in front of the board tonight as a resolution. So we might want to let's discuss that when that comes up. Chairman, that's up to you. Okay. And then the procurement committee met on February 9th. We discussed the software proposals out there, and that we are going to have to go into next month, unfortunately, because they could not be put together for this month. We're in the final stages, but we're going to have to delay that until the next month. And I can't think of anything else on the procurement committee that we went over. It was a fairly short meeting after that. So thank you for everyone. I should note Mr. Angel, that we do have a Sergeant Joe Luciano trying to get into the meeting. I don't know if he's been able to get in or not, but you might see if you can find out where he's calling from and let him in. The admin staff are. What's that now?
Do you want to promote him to panelist or just?
Yeah. He's probably going to speak before it's over. Thank you. The admin staff continue to meet with residents, contractor, and service providers in this pandemic environment, and we continue to have our 10 a.m. conference calls on Monday and Thursday. We did have a meeting with the Resident Advisory Board on February 9th. Our new officers were introduced for the Resident Advisory Board. Ms. Casey Wolf, who I believe is going to be with us tonight later, came and presented along with our representative from the library that gave a really great presentation. Ms. Wolf presented the topic of the survey. The city is presenting a survey on what's going to happen with that property over on 2nd and Marshall, between Harrison and Marshall. And they're asking folks to put in a survey so we can look for those links to put in the survey. Obviously, that's important to us. That's right next to our property, adjacent to our property, and we want our opinions heard. And I think the Resident Advisory Board was very thankful that they came. There's also going to be a hearing on that, I believe on February 24th. Yep, February 24th at 6 p.m. I don't have the links to it yet, but I certainly plan on being there and attending virtually and taking a look at what the city's thinking about doing with that property, and they want our feedback on it too. So now's the time to have our opinion be known on that. Staff continues to work with the Enterprise Community Partners Group on technical assistance. It looks like that project is maturing. They are going to be here on February 22nd to tour our developments and interview our staff so we can develop strategies to get us out of troubled status. We really, again, appreciate the ability to have the enterprise partners partner with us to improve everything we do and be with us through the redevelopment stages that we're going to talk about later with our planning contract. So I'm really excited to have them. I did attach an organizational chart for the Housing Authority to my report. The big story of the last 2 weeks has been the snow. I think staff has worked diligently. I'm very proud of them. They worked many extra hours and worked very hard to keep everybody safe. I, at this point, don't have any reports of any slip or falls or anything that's happened. It was a tough storm, as we all know. It was rough. And the ice following it was rough as well. So our folks kind of didn't stop. And as I've mentioned before, when the ice and snow hit us, we don't have a bunch of maintenance people that magically appear to do this. We do it with our existing staff. So we're all out there inspecting, walking, looking for trouble areas, making sure things are salted down. With this snow, we're perfect. No one is anywhere. There's those big piles of snow that we're dealing with, and we're trying to keep safe and keep everyone as accessible as possible. And I understand there might be some more coming this weekend that we strategize for. We do have Monday off as a holiday, but we expect that snow's coming Sunday, so we'll probably be here working.
Director, can I just interrupt you for a sec?
Sure.
Chairman Mello?
Yes.
Is it possible to turn off the comments section of this Zoom call? Because it seems like there's people putting in surveys and links to surveys, and I don't think that's if we were at a regular meeting, then everyone needs to be talking at the public portion and not be chiming in on the comment section like this was some online chat room. So. Is there a way to turn that off?
I don't know. Good question. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. Is there a way to not have that as a distraction from the meeting, or?
I think there's in the admin section, there's a way to turn off chat for a call.
Um, yeah, I
I'm looking-
think, yeah. I think Casey, if I'm not mistaken, who did put in the survey, is going to address us tonight. And the resident services.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, you know,
Little
like
premature.
I said, it's not you watch the city council meeting, you don't see a ongoing chat in the Zoom. You see it on Facebook, that's fine. You can go to Facebook and say whatever you want, but not in the actual official Zoom meeting.
Yeah, it takes away from everybody's comment because they keep putting comments up and you're
Right.
losing track of what your other fellow commissioners or yourself are talking about.
Correct.
Yeah, I think to the commissioner's point, I don't want to speak for you, but I think let's refrain from, if you speak in the public portion and it's your time and you need to, you know, just like you would display something in front of us physically, if we were not having a Zoom meeting, we were having a traditional meeting. At that time, you could say, I'm going to put into the chat a link, or I'm going to, you know, put into the share with you the chat a photo or something like that. But yes, when we're on other agenda items, if we could just focus on what's
Right.
being done, which is the executive director's report at this current moment.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
We continue to be very aware of the COVID pandemic, and we continue to struggle with those issues. We continue to ask our staff to be as safe as possible and residents to be as safe as possible. All regular activities in our community rooms remain canceled until we can come out of this safely. And we're certainly all looking forward to spring when we get a little air and we can do some more activities outside and this thing passes. We did do a big outreach over this past month to get all of our elderly and disabled folks signed up for the vaccine registration. We actually did personal calls and personal visits, and I think that was a pretty successful effort. We want everyone that wants to get registered, and as the vaccines come in, be able to go and get their vaccine for the future so we can get past this pandemic. We continue to modify our work schedules as needed for folks that have to be out for COVID-related reasons and to be safe on their quarantines. Our late fees continue to be waived for our residents, and we do have a COVID-19 budget for you tonight. Housing for Hoboken met this month to review the proposed planning contract that we're going to be talking about in depth later. It is a resolution in front of you tonight for final approval of the planning contract. All I'll say on that for this month is that they've worked really hard, and we really appreciate the Housing for Hoboken trustees that have worked so hard at working with the planning group to come up with what we think is an excellent contract to kick off our planning on the transformation of our housing here in Hoboken. It's going to be a very, very exciting year. I attach our summary of vacancies for January 2020, a few notable things. We are taking off on our move-ins. We've moved in 11 new families in January and transferred 4 more families in January. We've got our architectural engineering firm working on a package that is going to renovate 42 of our worst kind of problem units that take a long time to turn. That should be on the street within the next couple of weeks. We are moving our local 55 force account crew over to focus on Fox Hill and get all of our units over at Fox Hill ready. And we are working with the HUD Newark office to classify our units that are under construction or renovation as offline during that period. We do have our special capital projects. The funding for the roofs is complete except for the project at Harrison. And unfortunately, as we mentioned before, the snow came before the roof could go on. As soon as the weather breaks, the permits are pulled. We're ready to replace the roof over at Harrison Gardens. The phase 1 elevators at Andrew Jackson's are complete, and phase 2 is underway at 300, 310, 540, and 655 6th Street. We continue to look for a project completion in April. So yay, it's just around the corner. It's coming soon that we'll be done with this. It's been a long road, but certainly worth it. We have started to reoccupy the units, as I mentioned earlier, that we don't need for relocation. One elevator at Adams Garden is complete, and the other is under construction. We expect that to be done toward the end of April, beginning of May at this point. Final HUD approval has been obtained for RAD at Fox Hill. We've made significant progress with the help of our financial consultant, Lisa Petrosky from N&W, and our attorney firm, the Fitzpatrick attorney firm. We are on a monthly conference call with HUD to keep them updated. We are now looking for hopefully a March closing date at this point. We are working on the final scope of work for our 2020 CDBG funds. We do have gate contracts for Fox Hill and Adams that are depending on the weather, and at this point, we're just going to have to let the snow disappear before we can proceed on those projects. In management, the ACOP is in front of you for approval tonight. We have placed a hold on our project-based voucher program until we get some light on the other side of some issues there. And Mr. Merchant has been working hard on an overall building inspection routine as we prepare for this year's REAC inspection. He has set up his regular manager staff meetings and getting to the buildings on a regular basis as we form our list for our REAC work. We have authorized our architectural engineering firm to proceed with plans and specs for exterior facade work at Monroe Gardens. We will be bidding this work out. It's crucial that we be ready for when the weather breaks. We are having some issues over on the facade at Monroe Gardens. If you'll notice, we have some fencing up at facade at Monroe to keep folks away from the back of the building, because we're having some of the brick fascia on the building coming off as the weather changes, and we don't want anyone hurt. So we're keeping people away from those areas, but this is going to be a pretty big project for us this spring. So we've got the plans and specs being drawn up right now for that. We are moving ahead with our compactors replacement project at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings. And we expect to have those done within the next couple months. These have been in process for quite a while, and they should give us kind of the end of our round on compactor replacements. Boiler systems are up and operating. We do have an emergency repair declaration in front of you tonight. On Tuesday, I did have to declare an emergency either for the replacement of a condensate return tank and related work at Harrison Gardens. Both our mechanical contractor and Mr. Joshi agree that the work must proceed quickly. We must make sure that we have no interruption in our heating system, and there is a condensate return tank there that is rapidly failing. So we need to replace that, and we can talk about that when the vote comes up as well. We continue to finalize our workout plan for our goal of passing this year's REAC inspection. Our fiscal year 2019 audit is basically complete. We are going to be asking for a finance committee meeting in this round. Now that is complete, so we can review that audit and bring it back to the full board next month. I did attach a resident services report, and I will ask Mr. Daniel to go back over our resident services portion to talk about some good news there.
Thank you, Mr. Recco. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. It's going to be a very brief resident services report. I just want to share a couple of projects and programs that I have been working with Frank to enhance communication and also services at the Hoboken Housing Authority. So some of the things that we have been working on, and these are projects that are ongoing, is the senior, of course, and disabled vaccine registration, which is something that the director had asked us to do. So that's been going pretty well. Based on the information received from the managers, we have close to 70% of seniors have already registered at some of the senior buildings, and we're also tackling the senior and disabled members of our community at our family units as well. So that registration process is going really well. We have a staff member who is calling all of the seniors and encouraging them to register, as well as doing the registration process herself. Another work or project that we're working on is a really exciting one. Finally, we're bringing Nixle onto the Housing Authority. This will enhance communication, providing immediate notices, alerts, and announcements to all of our residents, right? We are beginning to meet, we will begin to meet with the implementation team February 19. So I'm very excited for that process. Finally, we're going to get that on board, and the Housing Authority is going to be able to immediately communicate with our community, not just through text messages, but also through voice, and also utilize emergency announcements, notices, and community advisory information from the city of Hoboken, and pass them through to those residents at the Hoboken Housing Authority that have not registered for the city Nixle communication system. So we're really excited on that. And we'll be working with that implementation team February 19. So thank God that we finally are getting that to enhance our communication needs. The resident services program provider, the program provider RFP is going to be published next week. Program provider RFP is extremely important because it gives all nonprofit organizations the opportunity to submit a proposal for services, support, and programming to the Hoboken Housing Authority. There is also $11,000 that has been allocated for funding. Each program provider or nonprofit is able to apply for a $2,500 mini grant, up to $2,500. So that is going to be published next week, and we will be also contacting those organizations that have provided services in the past, reminding them to please submit for this proposal, and then a pre-proposal meeting will be the following week just to assist organizations in the paperwork process. So we're really excited about that. Last year we had 5 organizations that were awarded some money, and we can't wait for them to come back, and also hopefully new organizations may also apply for approval to provide services to the Housing Authority residents this year. So that's going to be phenomenal.
Hey, Danny, real quick, sorry to interrupt, can you recap the 5 programs, the nonprofits that were accepted into the program as the first year, and some of the services they offered?
So it was Act Now Foundation. They provide Alzheimer's information, services, support to families. Then we have the Boys and Girls Club, of course, providing services and resources to our teens and children. We also have a karate club, the Karate Club, Amazing True Society. They have been with the Housing Authority for almost 11 years, providing not just self-defense, but also, self-esteem and other programs that they provide to teens, children and teens. And we also have two organizations which do not come to mind at this point right now. But those are the 3 organizations that I'm being able to highlight. Sorry, I cannot remember the other organizations.
If it's not asking too much, can you give us like an update for 2020 on, and specifically the organizations that were given money through our grant program?
Yes.
And what type of volume of participants they had?
Great.
It would be, and what services were provided. It would be, I think, helpful for everyone to see, who did what and who brought the most attention to their services. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll do that. Take care of that. Another RFP is going to be published next week, which is the recreational facility RFP. This is for the Mama Johnson Field. This provides opportunity for all for-profit organizations to have the same chance to be able to request approval for the use of the Mama Johnson Field. Of course, fee-based. These are for-profit organizations. Historically, ZOC Sports and ABL have been using the Mama Johnson Field. They're phenomenal community partners, but this process is extremely fair because it puts everyone on the same level in terms of the opportunity to be able to use the Mama Johnson Field. As we all know, we have a shared services agreement with the city of Hoboken. So the city of Hoboken gets first opportunity when it comes to scheduling all recreational activities, and then for-profit organizations will get allotted opportunities based on availability of the field. But we're really excited for this recreational facility RFP. It worked out last year, and I know that with new organizations coming on board this year, it will enhance the opportunity for more programming to the general public and also additional services to the housing authority. So that's going to be coming out next week. It's going to be published, and of course we'll be reaching out to those organizations that have historically rented a field, so that letting them know that the RFP is out and they'll be able to submit their proposal. I have 5 presenters for tonight. They will be providing information on services and programs. These are strong community partners. I would like to start with Ms. Barbara Reyes. If you can unmute, Barbara, and if you can please tell us as to the wonderful services that Hopes is providing and the program that they just did recently for the seniors.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. So, as you all know, Hopes has been in Hoboken for over 50 years. Many of the years that we have been here, we have helped the low-income individuals of the city, and our target population, obviously, is the Hoboken Housing Authority. So, although Hopes is currently, community programs is currently working remotely, we are still available to the community to assist them with anything they need. One of the things that we do have and we are providing to everyone is benefit enrollment. So we are helping individuals who have been laid off. We're helping them with unemployment. If they have had a COVID situation and they need to take FMLA, we are assisting with completing that paperwork, faxing it, submitting it to the state, and following the process until they are actually approved for the service. Another thing that we're helping them with, and this has always happened for as many years as I can remember, we are a volunteer income tax assistance program, and we provide free tax preparation, not only to the housing authority, but to anyone in the county. But we do try to target the housing authority because we do know how expensive H&R Block and all these other places can be for our residents. So this year, although we're doing it remotely, we are going to be providing this service. We will be, after the meeting, I will be sending Danny all our information with our flyers. So maybe it could be put up on the website so that the residents can have access to it and know how they can set up an appointment to drop off the information, or they can upload it into our system. It's going to be then provided to one of my advocates who will then be responsible for preparing it and contacting the client and helping them through the process. So I will be sending that information. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that as COVID-19 hit, one of the major populations that I think we've forgotten how mental health has affected them is our senior population. Many of them who are alone, they don't have anyone, that has mentally affected them terribly. So one of the things that Hopes is doing, when we were able to do it, we used to have creative wellness classes, which is where we would go into the senior buildings on a certain day, and from 10 to 1, we would sit in the community rooms with them and do art classes and allow them to paint. Fortunately, that's something that we can no longer do. But what Hopes is doing, we are going to be sending Danny a link so that, a link and a flyer so that they can call us, or those who have access to to register can register, is we're going to be putting packets together of painting things, the, what do you call this? I'm so sorry. Yeah, the arts and crafts, everything they need for arts and crafts. So we're providing everything for them. We're going to put a little pack together. We can get their address and their apartment number. And on a certain day, we will go and provide it to them. The only thing that they have to do in turn is take a picture of what they paint for us and send it back to us so that we can have it for our files, obviously. and for grant purposes. That's one of the things. We're also going to be providing a creative wellness class on Zoom for those that have access to it and would like to join. We're going to be doing that. And another thing that we did yesterday was that we did I want to say a Friends Valentine's giveaway, and we geared it more to our senior population. So Hope staff went to all 3 senior buildings, and we provided each senior with a bag, which consisted of a mug with hot chocolate to make hot chocolate, a gift card to the supermarket. It had word searches, puzzles, color pencils, coloring books, anything to allow them to kind of get their mind off of being depressed and being alone. So that was an amazing event for our staff as a whole, and even for myself because I did it with them. And just to see the smile on the seniors' faces it was a contactless event. So what we were doing was we would knock on the door and we would leave the bag on the door. But obviously, as you're going through the hallway, they're opening their doors and so forth. And it was so nice to just have them see someone and they wanted to talk and they wanted to, engage with you. And we were able to take some pictures, which I shared with the HHA staff earlier today. And I would hope that they would share with you guys, or at least put them on the website so that people can see that although we are not physically in our offices, we are still present. We are very present in our community. I know personally, I have had residents who reach out to me personally, and I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm the type that I don't say no. So I've had residents come to my home and I've helped them with whatever they need while working during the working day. I don't have an issue with that. Hopes is here for the community. We're going to continue to do this. I know this specific event was geared more towards the senior buildings. I did have some extra ones and I worked with Danny. And tomorrow I am going to personally be distributing to other disabled and seniors that are not in the actual buildings. I'm not quite sure how many I have left, but whatever I have left are going to go to other disabled and senior individuals that live in the family units. So that's one of the things that we're doing tomorrow. We're going to try to continue to do this with the seniors for now, and later on, obviously, as you guys are well aware, we continue to do our back to school event for our children of the Housing Authority, our Halloween events, which are geared to them. And until, unfortunately, COVID-19 isn't over, we can't proceed with our game days we used to have for our seniors and children. But I'm pretty sure that once the executive orders are lifted and it's safe to do that, we will be back on board with completing that. So if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. Andrew, I do want to tell you that Hopes has a data entry system. Every client that comes to us has to be entered into a data system with all their information. So we don't have a problem with pulling reports with just housing residents that we assist. So I can definitely get that to you from my director. I can have those reports pulled so you can see how many people we have assisted throughout the year.
Great.
Hopes. So
Great. Appreciate that.
So I guess those are just some of the things that we're doing. And again, if any residents or any residents of the Housing Authority or even of Hoboken, if you guys know of anyone that is in need, you guys all know my cell phone number. Please feel free to email me, call me. We're here to help the communities. We look forward to working with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Barbara.
Thank you so much, Barbara. We're going to have now Chesley Mead, a representative from the Hoboken Food Pantry.
Hi, sorry. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh,
We can.
Yeah.
okay. Oh, let me just fix this. Okay. Hi, I know a few of you, but I think most I don't. I work for the Hoboken Food Pantry. I just want to say quickly that Danny is so great to work with. Really easy to coordinate anything that we need to with the Housing Authority. So thanks for inviting me. I'm just going to see if I can share. Is it okay if I share a quick presentation with you all?
Sure. Angel, can you do a share screen
I think I can.
allowance?
Oh, I do. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Okay, hold on.
Not yet.
Sorry. Let's try this. I don't know why it won't work. Okay, I don't think it's going to work. I can just go through everything that I had on it. I'm not sure why it's not working.
Yeah, if you want to just send it to us too, you can email it after.
Yeah, I think I might have to do that. I don't think it's,
You could have it put up on the website.
yeah, my Zoom preferences won't let me, and I'm not sure. Okay, I'll just go through it. So I have been with the food pantry since its beginning. We started in the fall of 2019. We are based out of the Hoboken Community Center. A little bit of history on the Community Center for those that don't know. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's located uptown in 13th Street at 1301 Washington. We have three missions at the Community Center. We have the food pantry, the 96 single resident occupancy rooms for low-income men, and we obviously have all the 48,000 square feet of recreation, aquatic, and community space, which is under rehabilitation. I'm really going to focus on the food pantry because that's where.
Could you just speak a little bit slower? I'm the court reporter,
I'm
so I'm just
sorry.
trying to get it. You're a fast talker.
So we started in the fall of 2019. It was mostly, I want to say, like stay-at-home moms and a few retired people who just wanted to get together and address food insecurity in our city. And we started sort of slow. We started with the men who live at the HCC. There was a great need there. And then we quickly were able to connect with Danny, and he mentioned the need with the senior population. So we started focusing on them. We did 3 distributions before COVID hit at the 3 HHA senior buildings, where we pre-packed bags and we delivered them to each of the buildings. Once the pandemic hit, things kind of got a little crazy, and we were lucky. CERT was able to come in and set up a emergency response food center in about 3,500 square feet of space that we could use at the community center, which is where what we're using now. They delivered, I think from March to May to June 1st, they delivered over 4,400 bags of groceries to residents. Everything was delivered. Anyone could call. There was no pre-qualifications. If you needed food, it was delivered. 58% of those households served were residents that were over the age of 65, and 40% were either from the 3 HHA buildings or from 76 Bloomfield, 400 First, or 514 Madison. Currently, in June, we switched CERT. The emergency level had sort of been downgraded. So CERT was going to stop doing the distributions for us. So we switched to a distribution model. We distribute 2 times a month, sometimes 3, but usually 2 at 3 locations in town. We set up at the HCC building uptown, the multi-service center, and in the warm weather, we are in the HHA courtyard. But since the winter, is much colder, we've been lucky enough to use the Jackson Street Gym or the Jubilee Center more recently. Once it gets warmer, we will switch back to the courtyard again, as it's easier for residents and it's better to be outside with COVID happening. I can send some of these numbers afterwards, but we have over 1,000 Hoboken residents registered with us. We get new registrations at every distribution. People are still finding out about us. And the need is just really rising, especially with people losing their jobs. We've had a lot of people who never needed these kind of services before showing up. And I think as of December 2020, we had 1,070 total registered households, and out of that number, 415 of them are from either the 3 HHA senior buildings or 400 First, 76 Bloom, and 514 Madison. So it's a large chunk of it is seniors. And I know, like, we used to do deliveries in the buildings, and like what Barbara was saying, the seniors are lonely and they're just so happy for any sort of interaction or just like showing any sort of care to them. It's pretty moving, you know, going into the buildings and speaking with them. Typically in a month, in one single distribution, typically we will serve anywhere between 350 and 500 households between the 3 locations. And that can equate to anywhere between like 560 and 850 people that helps feed based on household sizes. Anyone can come. We do have a registration process, but we don't require any like qualifiers. You know, we ask for information for data purposes. We are a member of the New Jersey Food Bank. We're an agency, so we are required to collect data, but we will not turn anyone away. In October, we sort of noticed that the need went beyond food, and there was many people who were asking if we had diapers, wipes, you know, baby food, those sort of things. So we started our family to family program that we also do twice a month. And we have set up a sort of, it looks a little bit like a CVS. We've set up in our pantry where we have residents come in and they can sort of shop. And we have diapers, wipes, baby food, formula. We've now expanded to hygiene items, adult diapers, feminine hygiene products, Lysol wipes when we can get them, hand sanitizer, garbage bags. And that program has been received really well. It started out, our first time that we did it, we had 4 clients. We're up to like 70 plus households coming now. And our next one is next Tuesday from 9 to 11. I know Danny updates the website with that information. We also were able to do a few special events. We were able to have give out Thanksgiving roasters at the Multi-Service Center in November to 131 households. I think primarily they were geared towards the seniors, since I believe Ryan Sharp was giving out turkeys at the HHA. So we focused on the senior buildings there. We had 2 holiday markets at the pantry location where we served over 130 households. They were able to come in, choose toys or other items that we had to have as holiday gifts. And in December, we were also able to give away 20-pound turkeys to 70 households. Our pantry is operated, we have a leadership team of about 10 Hoboken residents, and we have over 140 registered volunteers. And we have like a really, really strong, dedicated volunteer group. They come and they unload trucks. I don't know if any of you have been to the HCC, but we are up a flight of stairs at the pantry. So we have to break down pallets and carry in cans of food. And all our volunteers, they keep coming back to do it. They organize the warehouse, they inventory, we bag groceries, we transport groceries with the help of the city to our other locations. They help register clients. You know, many of them have really gotten on a first name basis with many of our clients. And if anyone here is interested in volunteering, feel free to reach out afterwards and I can tell you how you can do that. We've had a lot of support from the city, the mayor's office, city council, the Department of Health and Human Services, Director Leo Pellegrini, and Jennifer Gonzalez at the Department of Environmental Protection. Everyone has been super supportive. No one is ever complaining when they have to come out and support us in whatever way they can. And I think, we've also had tremendous support from the community fundraising wise. We've had some pretty big fundraisers in town in 2020. Flag, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, has raised between 2 different fundraisers a little under $30,000 for us. The Front Steps Project, which was a few local photographers started of their own volition, they raised $30,000 for us, and we did a Giving Tuesday push, which we were able to raise a little over $16,000, which helps pay for all the food that we're able to buy and provide to, you know, all of our residents in need. She's going to be done soon, okay? And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I want to add that this program is a program almost, I won't say specifically, but it mostly serves the Housing Authority of Hoboken Housing Authority. Particularly with our senior buildings. So, you know, we need to thank Danny for getting this thing to take off in the Housing Authority. He's done a remarkable job. Chesley has done a remarkable job. And the growth of this program has been also remarkable, where we were giving out 40 bags last fall to the men at the SRO, and now we're doing 400, 500 bags. So it's been very successful and almost entirely successful, or the success is at the Housing Authority.
Yeah, I mean, I actually typically work on distribution days. I have always gone to the Housing Authority when we're there in the summer, or I do the Jubilee Center. So my main interaction with residents is mostly of HHA residents. And it's just really great to be able to help people, and especially during COVID, just having like a small chat with residents when they come to pick up food. It's really humbling also. But that's it. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but.
Thank you, Chesley.
Thank you, Danny.
Very much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
I am not sure, we are unable to figure out whether Casey still on, Casey Wolf from the city of Hoboken. Casey, if you can chime in.
Casey,
I
are
know-
you with us?
I know she was on the chat, but we're unable to identify her number or login information. Casey, if you're on, if you
Why don't we
can.
move on? You said 5 speakers, right? So why don't we move on to the next and then.
Yeah, so Christopher Good.
He shows up.
Let's see, Christopher Good from the Hoboken Public Library. I don't see Christopher. We're unable to see Christopher. And then the final speaker will be Jay Mapp, Literacy Coordinator for the Hoboken Public Library. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, commissioners. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you to the presenters. Did somebody ask a question?
No.
Okay. Nope.
All right.
Thank you very much. I would like to notice the 2 gentlemen from the Hoboken Police Department that joined us during the course of the meeting. Sergeant, welcome. Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you, officers. All right. So reports on the.
Is this a good time to ask the director a question about his report?
Sure.
Sure.
Is there a resignation from the maintenance director?
Yes, he put in his resignation this past week.
Is there a reason? It's a pretty short stay, right?
Yeah, it was. And he had his own reasons, personal reasons that I think under personal policy, I hate to go into too much. But we're moving right ahead. We'll be putting an ad for a new maintenance director out this coming week.
So just to put in perspective, we have a maintenance director come in. He's very passionate about a special door that we needed to have for $8,000, and now he just disappears. So that's kind of it's. I have a problem with that. I mean, did we buy that door already?
Yes, we have, and it's been installed. And I'm also passionate about that door because it's a crucial part of our inventory system. As I explained at the last meeting, we need to continue to improve our sites and our systems. And we had a door there, as I said, that we couldn't even bring refrigerators into our inventory. It wasn't wide enough. The old door had to be open all the time. We now have a door that we can pass inventory items over the top of the door. It's important to have those improvements, and I agreed with him totally that we needed to install that door as we continue to improve our services here. The last thing we would want is to know that our inventory was insecure and people were taking things out of there. It's a crucial function of ours to keep that system good.
Also, maybe what's not considered
All the time,
is
Commissioner
knowing that,
Lewitt and Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Lewitt, please, you have the floor.
okay, that door was made wider, which means you're removing masonry, you're putting in a new steel lintel over it, you're reframing it, and then finally, yes, there's a new door. So the question about why is this door so expensive is because somebody doesn't understand what's involved in putting in a wider door.
Thank you for explaining that. I have no idea about doors and how wide they should be, but it seemed that the former maintenance director, Rich, who was here for a long time, didn't seem to think that that was needed. So it's just a question that was asked, and I appreciate your thorough explanation of the material and process of installing doors. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Smith.
I just had a question about the concerns of the turnover at the maintenance department. Is this, how many maintenance directors have we been through in the last couple of years? Is there a culture problem in the maintenance problem? Is this something that we need to take a better look at?
I don't think so. I think we had one maintenance director there that's here for quite a while. The position was vacant until we found somebody suitable, what I thought was a suitable candidate. And he has decided after a few months with us that the job wasn't particularly for him. And we'll go on from there. But that isn't a high turnover rate in any way, shape, or form.
Rich was with us for quite some time. How long was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, 3 years, something like that.
I thought it was at least that much. All right. Okay. So let's move on. I think when it comes to reports from committees, the Security Committee, Commissioner Impastato gave a report on that. And I think we'll leave the reports on the, I'll let my fellow commissioners who are on the committee for the admissions policy chime in when we consider that resolution. I don't believe there's any other reports from committees. Am I missing something? All right, so if we can move on to the public portion. All right.
Sorry.
I've had two people reach out through the chat and say they want to speak. First speaker will be Luis Quinones. Quinones still here?
Yes, I'm still here. And don't worry, I can't pronounce my own last name either.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. So, I'm actually on here for the record. My name is Luis Quinones, CEO of Community Lifestyle. We're a nonprofit organization, grassroots here in the Housing Authority, in Hoboken, and we serve the Housing Authority residents, which you guys call residents, I call families. I wasn't a panelist, so I wasn't invited. That I had to speak on this public portion, but I just wanted actually this is not to badmouth the board in any way, because I love you guys. I think you do amazing work, and it's really hard. I understand that. But I don't think you guys know about Community Lifestyle or know what my passion is. And I want to take this time to actually share my passion and share why I'm so passionate about the families that we serve in the Hoboken Housing Authority. Now, first things first, we identified a common need, and that need was programming, right? And I'm not talking about programming down 2 blocks or 5 blocks at the Boys and Girls Club. We have amazing organizations in town. The reason why Community Lifestyle is around is because I care so much about the kids in the Housing Authority. The most important thing is for us to have programs inside the Housing Authority. I might be an outsider to some of you, but one thing I have over all of you, besides maybe Jason, is the fact that I am actually a product of the system. I am a project kid. I can say that. I might not have grown up in the Housing Authority in Hoboken, but I sure damn know that I was born in the Housing Authority. And I know it's the same thing in each and every Housing Authority. Community and Lifestyle is not about me. It's about the families that we serve. I don't think you guys understand how much we have done so far, and I'm still here 4 years later. I don't think you guys understand the importance of having an actual free childcare program. When I first came in 2018 and said I was going to run a summer camp program, I was told, have it for 2 weeks. You don't know these families. Everyone's going to back out. You don't have any funds. We had 54 kids that year. 2019, we have 73 kids registered. Did you know that we actually taught kids how to swim? Did you know that we partnered with Hopes and the Hoboken Library to do arts and actually teach the kids how to swim? You know, did you know that we actually are empowering our teenagers to have a voice? So when I go and I ask and I bring up stuff, and I've been part of your meetings constantly, and I listen in, and before I used to be Happy Go Gilly, you know, during in person and give you reports, I haven't seen none of you come to our actual programs. Sorry, Erica, you actually helped out. You came through, and I thank you so much for stopping in and spending time with our kids. But this is for us, for our family. So when what community lifestyle is, it's about the community that we serve. It's about the families there. I know it because I live it. So when I ask that we need programs, and I'm not talking about just us as an organization. You have Ray Rodriguez and what he's building up. You have person of color. You have somebody that's actually involved with the kids that are there. All we're asking is for us to continue to do those programs. I'm excited to hear that the RFP is dropping out. But in January, we were able to partner with the Kids Dream Big Foundation to provide free flag football program for all the kids, 416 kids we can serve, absolutely free. And I send the proposal in, and I'm told I have to wait for the RFP. Now I'm happy that the RFP is being dropped, but I don't know when you guys are gonna approve it. And I'm sorry to ramp, I got some notes here and stuff, but I'm gonna actually bring this up. 2019, when we ran our summer camp for the second year, we had the most kids. And by the way, yeah, I'm crazy. I decided to start a nonprofit organization and do things backwards. Yeah, I did a free summer camp program. Did I get paid? No. But I can tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing right now. Those families that we served are our biggest supporters. Those are the families that came in and helped with snacks. Those families needed it. 100% needed it. And I'm just saying, but in 2019, I didn't have enough supervision. So I decided to close down the camp for 3 days until we got the supervision. Instead, I got thrown under the bus by so many people. Oh, he was mismanaging money. Oh, he doesn't know what he was doing. Which was baloney. And I'm keeping it PG. Now, I can tell you one thing about my summer camp than any other summer camp, than any other programs. We provide programs, quality programs to our kids. If you don't believe me, ask. Ask your staff that needed childcare for their kids. Ask them. Ask if they were able to learn how to swim. Ask if they went outside of the bubble to go to Urban Coal House and actually create pizzas from scratch. You know, we are not just an organization. We are an organization that's for the organization by the residents that you call residents. Those are the families that we serve. I'm a product of the Housing Authority, and I created an organization that serves those kids to empower them and give them the tools so they can break the cycle.
Mr. Quinones.
I know my time is up. I just want to say that you need to really look in, and I really hope that maybe we can have a conversation later on with the board. And I would love to meet you and tell you all about the good things that we're doing, but I need your help. Those families need your help.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Jeremy, can I ask a question?
Sure. But we're not going to engage in a big back and forth, but sure. A quick question. Yes.
You know what? That's okay. I can reach out to Lewis myself and talk to him.
Okay.
Yes, and I apologize for not getting back to you.
All right. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to move on, but just please understand, anybody who wants to provide services, we admire the heart of many people, but we also are still an organization that has to be responsible. I mean, Mr. Smith and myself have worked in education. Mr. Impastato works with kids, and there's negligence. There's things that have to be taken into consideration that go beyond the size of somebody's heart. So I'm just going to say that, and we're going to move on. Next, I think Barbara Reyes wanted to speak as a resident. So Ms. Reyes, are you still with us?
Hello, how are you guys?
Hello again, Commissioner.
Yes, I'm sorry. So I just wanted to talk as a resident. I wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to thank you all to those commissioners that reached out to me after my last meeting, and who have followed up with me and have tried to help me with my situation. I really appreciate it. There was a comment, I went back and listened to the meeting afterwards, and I was kind of disheartened at what the lawyer stated, where one of the lawyers stated in the meeting that this was not the platform for me to share my story of what I was going through. And he may be right for whatever legal reasons he may have, but it was the only platform and the only way I had to tell my story and what I was going through. And I think comments like that is unfortunately what makes our residents not want to speak up and not want to come forward when there are issues. This is our platform. You guys, the Board of Commissioners, represent us, the residents. You are here for us. So if I'm having an issue and I don't feel like it's being heard properly, yes, my next step would obviously be to come to you guys. So I think sometimes we just kind of have to be a little bit more sensitive to what we're saying, because this is a public meeting. This is for residents to get their, to let you guys know what they're going through and what their issues are. So I was a little bit disheartened because I've never had an issue with you guys. I do try. It was an issue that I was going through with for months, and I did try to handle it privately without bringing it to a public forum for months. So that was one of my first comments. The next thing I wanted to talk about is that we spoke about the cameras. I know Andrew spoke about earlier how he met with the police department about the camera usage and so forth. And I do get it that the cameras are to prevent those that don't live here from doing the things that are being done in the housing authority. I absolutely agree with that. But those cameras also need to be manned by the housing authority during normal business hours, because there are residents that are doing illegal stuff. So when Andrew said, oh, this is being used for outsiders or trespassers that are doing stuff here, let's be honest, it's not just trespassers that are doing stuff in the housing authority. There are residents that are doing stuff also that also need to be addressed. So yes, we could sit here and play, okay, well, the cops need to do this and the housing needs to do this. No, I think we need to collaborate, live together, work together, both the housing authority and the police department, to man those cameras. We are spending millions and millions of dollars. I sit at these meetings and I hear how much millions of dollars are being spent. And at the end of the day, all these years that we've been spending all this money, we still have the same issues. We have the same issues. Nothing has changed. I'm so sorry. Nothing has changed. So I am glad to see that the police department, like for instance, this afternoon, I was coming up with the kids. They were in the building. They were. I don't know if they were just walking through the building or what it may have been, but they were. It made me happy. It made me feel safe. I'm glad that that's happening. But again, I think we have to collaboratively work together to continue as far as the camera situation, and housing has to do more with as far as manning it during the day. Another thing that I wanted to talk about quickly is about the surveys that you guys spoke about earlier about the location by the housing authority. Are the links going to be on the HHA website, or are they going to be sent through the NICSO? What do we do for the residents that can't go online and do this? Will this be provided to them in paper form and then collected somehow so that then we can submit it? Because I do think that the residents should have a say as far as what may go there or what their opinion is of what should go there. I don't know the questions, I haven't looked at it, but I think everybody should have an opportunity to look at that. And then my last thing was as far as the agenda and what you guys, one of the things on the agenda was about changing the policy for admissions. I wanted to know, was that already, did that pass already through the Resident Advisory Board? And did we get HUD approval to do? Because I know that one of the things that happened previously was when it first came up, I was on that public meeting, but then I kind of researched it and reached out, and I do know that HUD still needs to approve that. So was that approved on the HUD's end? So that's just some of the questions that I had and some concerns as a resident that I had, and I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and we will, I think you might be the last person speaking in the public portion, and that's one of the first agenda items. So we will definitely be talking about that. But yes, it has been run by the resident committee, and it's something that has to periodically be done. We have to be in compliance. We have to establish guidelines that determine eligibility and admission, and has to be continually revisited. We have to make sure we're staying in accordance with HUD guidelines, and that's the process we're going through. And I think it was also tightened up a bit, but we will get to that in more detail when we get to that part of the agenda. Is there anybody else? I guess, Mr. Villamar, do you want to speak now, or would you rather wait? I mean, I don't want to hold you up here all night, but Mr. Villamar is one of the members of our board for Housing for Hoboken that went about the process of interviewing the firms, which we have a contract in front of us tonight. So Mr. Villamar, would you like to speak now?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Welcome. The floor is yours.
Commissioners, as Mr. Mello mentioned, I am one of the members of the trustees of the Hoboken for Housing. This group has, which includes, besides Mr. Mello, Ms. Seitzman, and Mr. Levitt, we've gone through and selected an adequate planner to work on transforming the housing stock for the Hoboken Housing Authority into something more contemporary, something more appropriate for the 21st century. And I want to urge you all to consider the contract that's before you for approval, so that when you review it, you deal with the essence of what we're trying to do, which is recognizing that what we have now is not a workable housing stock for the residents of the Housing Authority, but something that is referred to in the neighborhood as the projects, and it's not part and parcel of the true nature of Hoboken to have this kind of element. We need to incorporate the Housing Authority in a way that eliminates the stigma, if you will, of being subject to just strictly affordable and subsidized housing. I think what we are trying to do is to create an environment where there's not only housing for people who can't afford market rate housing, but also workforce housing, which is a term that refers to people who need housing but cannot afford total market rate housing. And what the planner is going to help us with is developing a strategy to create the path to get to that point. And it's an important path because it is something that we need to get moving on quickly. We have the infrastructure the strategy to incorporate the planner's ideas. And I hope you have time to look it over and approve it. Thank you, Mr. Mello.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vellamar. Appreciate your input. And I know that Councilwoman Falco shares your views, and we've been working together a lot over the I guess it's been 5-6 months now, this interview process, and I think we've arrived in a really good place, and we're at the launching point for some very exciting, great things in Hoboken. So we'll get to that when we get to that point of the agenda, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the issue. All right, next, do we have anybody else who would like to speak who is in attendance in the meeting right now? Okay. Then I guess we will move on to resolutions. So.
Sorry, Chair. You have emails that came in before 7:30?
Okay. Could you read them into the record for us?
Sure. Sure. So let's see, at 7:03, we have Sylvia Gomez. And this is her email, her question. My question for tonight is, if a resident keeps complaining about other residents who keep disrupted and has court against one of these disrupted residents, videos of their disruptive behavior and police records, why hasn't anything been done to resolve this issue with these residents? So we'll pass this down to Frank to find out, to see the address for Miss Sylvia, and maybe a manager or someone can get back to her.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, then the next one at 7:05 is Miss Rawlings. Miss Rawlings is stating that she keeps getting blocked from emails. So I went back and forth with Angel and Daniel, and we don't know how she's getting blocked, but we'll look into it. And then we have one that came in at 7:36 p.m. Can I read that one, or it's too early?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we can wait by 6 minutes.
Okay, so this one here, it's a long one. It is from Joel. Joel is addressing Mr. Impastato, Commissioner Impastato. So it states, this question is for Andrew Impastato. I'm aware of the conversation you had with Miss Katie Eades in reference to Lewis this afternoon. How would you deal with someone in your position if they approach a woman and, as a person of color?
Lords, I'm going to cut you off because
okay.
I think this is delving into an area that might not be appropriate.
Very good. It's very long.
I guess I'm going to rely on 736 to say, you know what, I'm rethinking that, and let's review these comments before we can show them. Thank you.
And that is it.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And we will move on to, there's no unfinished business, so resolution number 2021-02.01, a resolution to approve the minutes for the January 14th, 2021 monthly board meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? We could have a vote, please.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith,
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
All right, next up is resolution number 2010-02.02, a resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Mr. Foreman, I believe, is the second. All right, any questions about the bills this month?
Yeah, I have a question, Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Impastato, you have the floor.
So I think we need to strike 2 of these items. And if Director, you want to go through it about the resident and the reallocation. Well, let me just start off by saying, at the last meeting, the item on here that says global luxury suites temporary relocation.
You're just going out a little bit, Commissioner Impastato.
Sorry, maybe I'm. So the global suites 6,900. Is that better? Good.
Yes.
Each month we've been paying about $7,000 to relocate a member of the housing authority, a family, to because of the noise from the elevator. And last meeting, we requested to see if potentially Daniel could find a more cost-effective option for us. So we reached out to, I did a search. There's a lot of units out there, but also Applied has units. And it was found that we could potentially get a unit at Applied for $2,500, maybe even $2,000 a month that is suitable to their needs and restrictions that they have. So that was concerning because obviously we potentially could have done that from the beginning, but as director had stated, it was a very time sensitive matter. With COVID going on, things get confusing. We could have saved $20,000, maybe more, but we were at the stage that we're at. And then I think, Mark, you can kind of explain what then transpired and how we're at where we're at now.
Yes, Director, if you could, please.
Sure. So as we're working with the family this past month, Commissioner Impastato and Commissioner Vega got involved with finding this alternative spot for her. At one point, we had a discussion of possibly having this individual move out to a completely new place on the private market. And part of that idea was that there would be a considerable cost savings if she and her family did move out to the private market. She had some concerns with her family and continues to have those concerns because we always have to remember there are children involved here. And there were some concerns that she had and her counselors had about moving the children twice, about moving them once from where they are now back and over into Applied and moving them back to our Adams development. And she was getting some feedback from DIFAS and her folks on her concerns over that. So we had at one point agreed that it might be good for her to move out to the private sector. We had, when we made that decision, in order to get it paid, if we were going to go down that road, we put it on the list of bills for an approval. It turns out that a better solution has been found thanks to Commissioner Vega particularly and Commissioner Impastato's efforts. We found a better solution for her. And as of yesterday, that solution was made, that deal was made, that she would be able to move to a place here in Hoboken rather than to move elsewhere. Therefore, on the list of bills, we do have on the top of page 3, a payment to a 1447 68th Street for a permanent relocation of a tenant. And we'd like to strike that from the list of bills today and not have an approval on that. And the background is that work with the resident to find her a suitable relocation space, but another alternative has been found. So we'd like to strike that item from the top of that page, item number 1 under resident services on page 3 for the total of $3,937.65.
If I could, Chairman, I just would like to add one comment here.
Sure.
Just for process terms, specifically, that amount was going to be paid for a security deposit and broker fee for the resident to get to the private sector. And in the end, it was going to save the housing authority money because we're shelling out $7,000 a month for the next 3 months. That's, let's say, $21,000. And if we pay $3,900, right, that gets her to where she's on a private market off our books, and it saves us money. And now we're not spending the $21,000. I just thought, in discussing with Commissioner Vega, and she can speak for herself, that it did not set a good precedent to start, paying for people's security deposits and broker fees to get to the private sector. And I understand that it's a specific chain of events here with the Relocation Act, and that's not common, but I just didn't think it was a good process for the organization to be going through So that's kind of why I at first agreed with it, but then kind of thought about it, and after a discussion with Commissioner Vega, thought there wasn't a good idea. Just so everybody has some context of what was going on.
Okay, Commissioner Vega, do you want to add to that, or?
I have no.
Okay, no problem.
Everybody's happy, I think.
Okay, that's the teacher in me coming out. Sorry about that. All right, okay, so we're all clear on what's being done then, and Mr. Fitzpatrick, do we have to make an amendment to do that, or can the executive director just note that it's being removed?
Well, I think you've already voted on the resolution, haven't you?
No, not on the list of bills. We had a motion and a second to consider it.
I thought I had heard people voting already.
That was for the minutes. That was the first vote for the minutes.
All right. I think the simplest thing would be simply to move to amend to delete that item and then take the vote.
I make a motion to amend the list of bills as the executive director just described. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I believe that was a unanimous vote. All right, so now any other questions with the list of bills as amended?
Yeah, so is the
Yes.
is the deposit returns, is the resident on that list?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Don't say if yes or no. But I just want to make sure that the resident is not getting, or no, the question I have here is the 6,900, we're paying that for another month. So February 19th, this will be the last $6,900 payment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, just as a point of clarification, that's going to depend on if she's able to move out on February 19th.
And what happens if she doesn't?
Well, so I've got to look at that, but I would imagine it's going to be on a daily basis that we're going to have to pay for until she does move out. But that $6,900 payment only brings her to February 19th. So that's about a week away. So I don't necessarily know that she's going to move out by that point.
Frank, did you end the contract, right, Frank?
Yeah, the contract is over on February 19th. So we will be working with her over the next week to get her into her new place.
Okay.
We will make this happen.
I think the end result is good for everybody. You know, I think we took a little too long to get there, but I think she's going to be happy staying in Hoboken. You know, and we'll resolve it. So it's equitable for everybody. Would you agree, Mark?
I do. Absolutely.
All right, and let's make sure she does get moved out within the next week, because I would imagine, and attorneys, please correct me if I'm wrong, in lieu of a contract, if you're there, you're going to be to the terms that were pre-existing in the contract before it terminated, correct? So we might be on the hook for an entire month.
Yeah, we're ready to go, but I think
So the daily rate is a lot higher than the monthly rate.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if it would go to a new rate because without an existing contract, but it might go to a term of a month. All right. Either way, let's just avoid that, because either situation would be a bad one. Okay. All right. So if we could have a vote on that, please, the list of bills.
H. Foreman.
Yes.
A. Impastato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt. I think you're muted, Aaron.
Aaron, you're muted.
D.
Yes,
D.
yes.
Mello.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2021-02.03, a resolution to amend the 2020 agency plan and adopt a new admissions and continued occupancy policy. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. All right. Yeah, I've already spoken on this a little bit. It's something that we periodically have to do, and we can also take the opportunity to tighten it up and make it a little bit better. Do either of my fellow commissioners who are on the committee want to say a few words about the changes made to the policy? Mr. Smith, do you want to? Okay. I think it's a good policy. It's something we have to do, but I think it was done in a good, solid way. It streamlined it a little bit, took some of the confusion out of it, and it overall seems like a good policy. So thank you to my fellow commissioners for the time we put into getting this right. If we could have a vote, please.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith,
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
All right, resolution 2021-02.04, a resolution to award a contract for video management software maintenance. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comment? All right, if I could have a vote, please, Director.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith,
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
All right, next is resolution number 2021-02.05, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to confirm terms of the contract for professional planning services with respect to the RAD program. I'm going to make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. All right, so this is really the big one, and I think this is a very good thing. So this is essentially where we're going to be hiring our professional planners to give us guidance in redeveloping our housing authority and planning that out and looking at all of the different financial options, which can become very convoluted. And you really need expertise and understanding on how to get the most dollars out of the federal government and how to structure this sort of a situation. How to do it best with the mix of housing and things like that. I think we all probably have, when it comes to the very long term, the long game of this, might have some different opinions, but what's really important is that everybody who is involved in Housing for Hoboken, in my opinion, share the opinion that we don't want anybody to be relocated out of Hoboken for even a day in this process, and would like to replace as many units as we possibly can afford to replace with new modern units, because our units are very outmoded, and it's cost prohibitive to try to refurbish them. But we're hiring the professional planners that will confirm that for us and give us guidance on how best to do that, or if there are some buildings in our inventory that can be refurbished, how best to do that, and really capitalize on the money the way it's been flowing best from the federal government for many decades now. Do I have any questions or additional comments that people want to make on the board before we take a vote?
I just got a comment from Barbara Ray. She said that residents are being blocked from the Zoom, if they could check that out.
They're being blocked from the Zoom. Okay, that shouldn't be. I mean, we're done with public portion, but they should be able to watch via the Zoom. So can we handle that, please?
I'll check with Angel, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Lourdes. I appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, any questions regarding the resolution in front of us, though?
One comment, Dave.
Yes.
One of the partners that we're taking on is Enterprise Community Partners.
Yes, we are.
Which is the most prestigious community planning organization in the country, and they know how to do the financing really well. So that's a big plus for us entering into this activity.
Yes, I agree, and that's a good thing, because it's not the greatest thing that we qualified for that sort of help. That we've continually dealt with different troubled statuses and things such as that. But the fact that they're responding to that in such a productive way, which is basically giving us enterprise partners in addition to if we hire Tortigalis, they're really kind of going along with Tortigalis. So Tortigalis has worked with enterprise partners, so they're both experts in the field, and it will help us come up with a better end product, a better plan for our community. And I think it's a very good thing. And it's being paid for by HUD. The money for enterprise partners is not coming out of our funds at all. So that's a very, very positive aspect of this. Also, I want to thank Mr. Villamar, and I want to thank Councilwoman Falco, who are the two non-Housing Authority Commissioner members of the Housing for Hoboken board that went through the interview process over the course of the summer. You know, we had very, very lengthy Zoom interviews with a number of firms. I believe it was, what, 6 firms when we started? At least six firms.
Yes,
And,
sir.
yeah, and you know, it was a good process though, because it was very educational. There was a lot of good firms that kind of taught us through the process more about what we needed, and we were all in pretty much in agreement that Tortigalis really brought the most to the table. All right, any other questions?
Well, one more comment. I've worked for Enterprise Community Partners for 10 years. I want to make sure there's no conflict of interest if I go through the buildings with these folks, which I want to do, to develop the scope of work and what has to be done and why these buildings are obsolete. I just want to make sure I can do this without getting in trouble.
You currently work with them?
No, he does not.
Excuse me?
You haven't worked with them for many years, correct, Commissioner Foreman?
I haven't worked with them since 99.
So then there's no conflict if you currently don't work with them.
I think you're good. Okay.
I work with organizations that work with them.
Yes.
Are you receiving a pension from them?
You're all talking at the same time.
I just
Mr.
don't want any more
Fitzpatrick, you have
ridiculous
the
chaos.
floor. If everybody else could let Mr. Fitzpatrick have the floor, it would be greatly appreciated.
I just wanted to point out that I believe we're talking about two different things. Enterprise Community Partners is providing service to HUD, who is in turn providing service to us with respect to certain activities, including overall implementation of the RAD program, as Executive Director Recco said. Enterprise Community Partners has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the Tortigalis contract. They're not involved with Tortigalis or any of the other partners or subcontractors of the Tortigalis package. We're talking about two different things. So first of all, the resolution before you has nothing to do with Enterprise Community Partners. Second of all, Enterprise Community Partners is working for HUD. And third of all, Commissioner Lewitt has already disclosed that he worked for them previously in a different context, doesn't know any of the people who are going to be working with HUD, does not get a pension or any other continuing benefit, and hasn't for more than 10 years.
All right, excellent. I think we are ready for a vote.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith,
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Obviously, it's been a very long time coming with that, and I
Exciting. Yeah.
I think we're gonna make some great plans to get our residents some better housing without any fear of displacement for even a day. All right, the last resolution on the agenda for tonight is resolution number 2021-02.06, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to ratify the February 9th, 2021 award of an emergency contract to replace a condensate receiver at 320 Jackson Street. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second? All right, if you could give us a little color on this, Director, on what the emergency was.
Absolutely. With examining our continued examination and continued custodianship of our boiler systems, we discovered that there was a condensate return tank at Harrison that is so old that it has the strong possibility of failing. Our boiler company came back to us and said, we've got to do this. You've got to replace this immediately because we can't guarantee how much longer it's going to last. Based on that, we did our own examination and we agreed totally with Liberty, our boiler company, that we need to move on this quickly. When they came to me, we decided that let's go. So I did award this immediately. The parts are ordered and should be back into Hoboken within the next week, and they will immediately proceed without any interruption of service to replace this condensate tank.
Great, and that seems like a pretty standard part that I'm assuming we're not paying any exorbitant amount for it.
I'm just kind of confused.
We did
Chairman,
a
if I
cost
may?
takeoff on it, yeah.
All right, Commissioner. Smith, you have
So it wasn't failing, so why did we put it under emergency? Wasn't it something that we could have discussed prior to making the purchase?
It could fail anytime, and my responsibility is to keep the heat going, and there's no way we wanted to delay. We had to move on this thing to make this thing happen. There's one thing I'm not going to risk is in a season like this of having any of our residents not have heat.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, and it was clear. It was very clear before us. We did a good detailed cost estimate on it. We agree that this is a fair price, a not to exceed price, and that way we could get the parts ordered and get moving.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, if we could have a vote, please.
You sure can, as soon as I find my list that I did something with. Oh, sorry about that. H. Foreman.
Yes.
A. Impastato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt.
Yes.
D. Mello.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
All right, and then before we adjourn, I do want to make a motion to go into closed session just to have our attorneys overview their findings on some questions that were asked at a prior meeting regarding votes on the vouchers for the former Y. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Chair, can I interrupt for a minute?
Absolutely, please do interrupt because
if you would like, I do have our standard form of resolution to go into closed session that I can read into the record for you, just so it's clear to all of the commissioners what the motion will be on.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Do we do that before the vote or after the vote? It's best form.
I think we've done it both ways in the past, but it may be appropriate just before the motion is made to make clear what the
like that there on
proposal.
the side of caution. So yes, please proceed.
This is resolution number 2021-02.07, a resolution of the
I'm
Housing
sorry,
Authority.
is anyone else having an issue with his audio, or is it just me?
No, it is.
Yes, he's spotty.
Your audio is crummy,
You're crackling. Yeah.
crackling big time.
I think if you lose the earpiece, Mr. Fitzpatrick, it won't be so choppy.
Can't hear you at all now. No, can't hear you, Matt.
Is it something Harold could read?
I don't have the form in front of me, but we could figure a way out. That's the first time Matt's ever had that problem, though. So
Yeah,
does
crackly
it
might
look like
be
he's
better
trying
than
to fix
nothing.
it?
Yeah, he is trying to fix it, but crackly might be better than nothing if you speak loudly, Matt.
If he
I don't know
just
if you can hear
speaks
us.
slowly, if he
Slowly.
speaks just slowly.
And now I think we've lost him. He's disappeared into the Zoom ether.
Maybe he's trying to log out, log back in to get a new connection.
I would think so.
Let me try a couple of other points while he's coming back to read that. I think I know what the purpose of going into closed session for will be. It relates to potential legal matters. And first of all, I should point out that if there is anybody on the public, we will need to have them leave the Zoom. But I assume that it is possible that this board may take action, perhaps in public session, after the closed session. I don't know, so I think we have to alert the public to that.
Is this audio?
Yes, you sound good, Matt.
Okay.
Matt, why don't you go ahead and read that?
Really stumbling into the finish line here, folks.
Oh, you've disappeared on us again, Matt. You were good for a minute.
Yeah, it's not good.
Now we can't hear you at all again.
In my recollection from this, whenever we did this as a city councilman, there's not really a magic word. So, Mr. Fitzpatrick, if you could just summarize what you just said, I think that would be sufficient.
Okay, well, first of all, this is a resolution to go into closed session to discuss matters of potential litigation. And based upon my understanding of what will be discussed, it is possible that after that discussion, this board may come out and actually thereafter take action in public session. It may also not take any action. But we have to remove the public from the Zoom call with the understanding that we may be coming back. And the question that I have then is, are we going to set a specific time when we would come back so that if we did come back and take action, the public would be aware of it?
Yeah, I guess we could set a specific time. Does 20 minutes sound sufficient? Is that too much?
Well, that's really, I mean, I've got a report that's only going to take a little bit more than 5 or 10 minutes at most, but it's up to how long the discussion's going to take thereafter.
I don't anticipate it taking a lot of time.
We could always come out and go back in if we had to, correct?
That's correct.
It's complicated with the Zoom, though.
I know, but you know, I don't want to have people waiting for an hour, and at the same time, I don't want to limit our conversation. So if we do say 9:15, maybe we could come out if that wasn't enough time, come out and let the public know there wasn't enough time.
Well, 9:15 would be 25 minutes, Commissioner. I think that's probably enough. And then the point is, if necessary, you would have to deal with it.
Well, we will say that we are coming back at 9:15. So is the easiest way to do this to end the meeting and the commissioners and the court stenographer and the director report back into the meeting? I know when I have meetings with my students, that's usually the easiest way. It's just to end the meeting.
We're going to lose our Zoom link then?
Otherwise, you're waiting for everybody to leave, or you're having to kick them out as the moderator of the meeting, which we could do. Okay, you know what? Let's just do that. So we need everybody to leave the meeting who's not a commissioner, an attorney, or the executive director.
And I guess, Lord, you're going to need to talk to Angel about making sure that Zoom is swept for all the people that don't fit that category.
Yes.
Correct. I'm going to guide him, yes.
But, first of all, we need to take a vote on this resolution and make sure we're going into closed session.
And I think the moderator, Angel, needs to stay on to make sure we're technically good.
All right. So
absolutely. And Lords.
Yes.
And Lourdes.
Do you need me as the court reporter also on?
Yes. We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I'd make a motion to go into closed session until 9:15. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Commissioner Impastato was the second. We have a vote, please. Director.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith,
Yes.
L. Vega.
Yes.
And just to emphasize to the public, we're going to ask them to leave at this point. We do not know whether or not the authority, when it comes out of closed session, will take any action in public. But if it does, we will readmit the public at 9:15 and advise them of that possibility.
All right. Exactly.
You also have to make
We
sure to
still
go
have-
not live on Facebook, because you're still live on Facebook right now.
That's true. We have to end the live on Facebook.
Well, I think we should just end that.
And
We still have members of the public.
officers, I think we have Officer Lucignano and Russo. You guys can stay, but I don't think you want to.
No, thank you for thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Officers.
Appreciate everything you guys do.
You guys are great.
We still have members of the public on the attendance.
All right, you can remove them though, correct?
Can't hear you.
Yes,
If I
remove them.
remove them, they will not be able to come back. So
Can you put them, what about if you put them, what about if you put them in a breakout room?
Or
What
the
about
waiting
Exactly,
room.
stick them in a
Yeah,
breakout
put them
room.
in a breakout room.
That's true.
They
Do
may
you know
not
how
be
to do
near the
that?
computers, so they may not be aware.
That has to be set up beforehand though. Have you set that up that way, Angel?
No, you can just put someone in a waiting room without a breakout room. And then you put them back in.
That's true. Yeah. You know what?
I don't have the option to do that on their webinar.
You don't have the option to put them in the waiting room?
No, you only have the option to remove.
All right, who is it? Is it the 201 number?
I just
We
think
have,
people are not realizing they're there.
One of the numbers I think is Matt. He's saying that it's him. Which one? 543?
Matt is 4001.
No, the other
Well,
Matt.
no, Matt's number is the one that you just said, 543.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 001.
So who's 7790?
No idea.
So that's the one that doesn't need to be here.
I want the recording of this, so if I have any observations that go wrong as a teacher, I'm going to show them this and I'm going to say, it didn't go this badly. It went better than that.
So Angel, how are you doing there? I don't see any other numbers except the folks that are supposed to be here.
No, we're good now.
We are good. Okay.
And we're off of Facebook Live as well. Angel, can you confirm that?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Matt.
Okay, I was 489, that got knocked off. You want to consider also cutting the recording, immediately restarting it.
You want to cut off the recording?
I would send them.
See, you're breaking up, Matt.
He's still bad.
And stop it and then restart.
His suggestion is to make a separate recording for the closed session.